gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, isn't it?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities, Tuesday, December 9th. Thank you guys so much for joining us as we work our way through December. It's a huge week. It's Cyhawk week in the state of Iowa. A lot to get to with that and so many other things going on in the world of sports. So thank you for taking the time to join us here on a snowy Tuesday morning. It's not snowing outside, but you look outside and it looks like winter. It's a beautiful thing. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. If you're watching us live on YouTube, we appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. If you have subscribed, thank you. If you have not subscribed, what are you doing with your life? Come on, let's just subscribe. It helps us out a ton. So up over 1,400 subscribers, looking to get to 1,500 before the first of the year. So tell a friend or two or 10 about what we're doing here in the Quad Cities each and every weekday off the air with Matt Randazzo. Also, we are live on X. X has been very, very good to us, so we appreciate you guys watching us on X as well. And also be interactive with us. You know, we have the chat going on YouTube. If you got any questions for the guests, all those kind of things, if you want to yell at me, complain about something, have at it. Do those kind of things as well. Same thing on X. Make sure you're reaching out and interacting with the show as well. Also, we are available on all the podcasting platforms. So Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Podbean, wherever you get your podcast. If you put in Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, you can listen to the show each and every day as well. So thank you for those everydayers that do it and listen, and we see you. We know who you are. We appreciate that as well. So keep doing that. Especially if you're better than I am this time of year and you're getting to the gym, working out, and you just want something to listen to when you're working out. Do that, because God knows I haven't done that as much as I should of late. So it's that time of year with Thanksgiving, Christmas, food everywhere. My wife's baking this weekend. Yeah, I need to get to the gym a little bit more, but whatever you're doing to listen to the show, we appreciate that. And of course, welcome to our viewers in Central Iowa. You can check out the show on the WHO streaming app every single night at 7 p.m. So thank you for that. It's been a crazy time in Central Iowa with the Cyclones and a coaching change and the basketball programs and Cyhawk and everything else. So it's a perfect time of year if you're in the central part of the state of Iowa to check out the show each and every night. That's at 7 p.m. On the WHO streaming app as well. If you missed the show yesterday, go check it out. We had the legend, the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin, joined us on the show. Always great insight from him, so go check that out. Also, another legend in the state of Illinois, Jim Matson, joined us to talk all about the Illini as well. So they're going bowling. They'll take on Tennessee in the Music City Bowl on December 30th. So a lot going on with Illinois sports as well. And then also John Marks talking about everything, college football, playoffs, and Bears, Packers, all those kind of things. So if you missed yesterday's show, go check it out. It was a bunch of fun. As for today's show, really, really excited about today's lineup. Coming up in a matter of moments, we're going to get into the heart of the Cyhawk rivalry, especially on the hardwood, with a guy who played 4 games in the rivalry with the black and gold on and the Iowa across his chest. The Bear Cage, Nicholas Baer, will be here in a matter of moments to talk all about this week's game, where Iowa basketball program is, his thoughts on Iowa State, who's coming off a victory this weekend at Mackey Arena. Nicholas has told me this before. I'm sure he'll reiterate again today. Mackey Arena is the hardest place he's ever played a college basketball game at. And for Iowa State to go there and do what they did this weekend, they're more than ready for Thursday. Iowa looked good this weekend. Thursday night should be a bunch of fun. So we'll talk about the guys' game between Iowa and Iowa State with Nicholas Baer coming up in just a matter of moments. We mentioned it was a crazy week. It's been a crazy week in Ames with Iowa State athletics, and you go from the highs and the lows of losing Matt Campbell to quickly replacing him with Jimmy Rogers and the introductory press conference that was yesterday. You're also looking at the basketball programs where the women are ranked 10th in the country, undefeated. The men are ranked 4th in the country. We just talked about the Purdue game. So a crazy busy week when it comes to the Cyclones. Also, Iowa, everything's busy with Iowa as well. They're going to Tampa to take on Vanderbilt. So there's no better time to talk to one of the best ever to do it in the state of Iowa. Keith Murphy will join us around 10:35, 10:40 here on the show. I'm really excited to catch up with Murph and get his thoughts and opinions on everything that's gone on. Somebody that I've respected for a long, long time. So super excited to have Keith Murphy coming up a little bit later on here in hour number 1. And then in hour number 2, we're going to go to the high school hardwood. So many great stories this time of year when it comes to high school sports, high school athletics, high school basketball. One of them's at North Scott. The girls program, they have co-head coaches. One of those co-head coaches is Paul Rucker, returning back to North Scott. And on his staff is a young lady that had a huge impact on North Scott basketball, Karli Rucker. A fantastic career at North Scott, went and played at Northern Iowa as well at the next level. So they're back coaching together. So they're both going to join us in hour number 2 of the show to talk about, North Scott basketball, but also the dynamic of coaching father, daughter, and all that, kind of doing it together. Should be a lot of fun. So that's coming up in hour number 2 of the show. So a lot to get to on today's show, but we're going to start with some news and notes from the world of sports. And one of them coming in this morning, and really cool when I got up and popped onto social media and I saw this. Gavin Stecker, a junior linebacker at Bettendorf, just finished up his junior season at Bettendorf, has officially committed to the University of Iowa. One of the top prospects in the state of Iowa, committing to Iowa. He's a 2027 kid, so he'll have his senior year next year, but he's starting off the Iowa class in 2027 with a foundation and a good one. Gavin Stecker, linebacker from Bettendorf, and obviously you think linebacker from Bettendorf that goes to Iowa. There's been several of them, including our good friend Pat Angerer, who's now the color commentator for the Hawkeye Radio Network, and of course was an All-American at Iowa, played in the NFL with the Colts and all those kind of things. So not comparing the two, but obviously we'll make sure people remember that there's a pretty good track record when it comes to Bettendorf linebacker. Zach Gableman, another one as well that went up there. So congratulations to Gavin Stecker. We're efforting to get him on the show maybe tomorrow or Thursday. Such a busy week, but we'll get Gavin on the show and talk to him about his decision. But congratulations, outstanding young man. Really good football player as well. So around the state of Iowa, if you're wondering about him, we'll have him on the show tomorrow. So make sure, or hopefully tomorrow, maybe Thursday, later this week, to talk about his commitment to Iowa. But a nice start for the University of Iowa when it comes to the 2027 recruiting class, and a little Quad City love. And I always love, we've had such a great tradition of sending football players here from the Quad Cities to the University of Iowa. Now Illinois as well, with Cole Rusk down there and Matthew Bailey down there as well. Mac Rasetich from Spring Valley Hall is down in Illinois as well. So, but heck, I used to remember the days we'd go for media day and you have to talk to the Quad City kids. And I always counted Mitch King as a Quad City kid, although he's Burlington. But you looked at it and you had, Colin Sandeman was there, Pat Angerer, Julian Vandervelde, Brett Greenwood, Mitch. I'm missing a few, I know, along the way. So there's always been a great pipeline then, and then obviously the Logan Lees more recently and all that kind of stuff. So Quad Cities has been good to Iowa football, and hopefully it continues with Gavin Stecker making his commitment to the University of Iowa this morning. Monday Night Football, the Chargers and Eagles go to overtime. Chargers winning that one, so the Eagles lose again. 22-19, the final in that one. And you look at it, and we talked about it yesterday with the NFC North. So many good teams. Those 3 teams, one of them might get to 11 victories and might not even make the postseason, because you're looking at a 7-6 team in the NFC South. And right now the NFC East, I mean, it's the Eagles, but they're 8-5. That's the same record as the Lions. So it'll be interesting to see when all's said and done if there's an NFC East representative and an NFC South representative, one or the other, if not both, that are in the playoffs with worse records than whomever doesn't win in the NFC North, and it could be, 3 teams at 11 wins or more. So interesting things developing. Boy, that last game of the year, when it's the Lions and Bears in Soldier Field, is going to be fascinating. You might as well flex that one to Sunday Night Football right now, because everything's looking like that could be a really big game. And boy, I hate the facts the Lions beaten by 31 in week 2. So hopefully it goes well for me and not for you Bears fans. But anyways, also we talked about the Cyhawk weeks. That's where we're going to start today. Wednesday, it's number 11 Iowa at number 10 Iowa State. Fantastic matchup. We'll talk more about that coming up tomorrow on the show. The men's side of things, it's the Hawkeyes at 8-1 on the season, 1-1 in Big Ten play, going to Hilton Coliseum to taking on number 4 Iowa State. And also in the rankings, Illinois ranked number 13 in the AP polls. But let's start with the men and a familiar face right here on OTA. So let's talk about the Cyhawk week that is, and the big game coming up on Thursday with our good friend Nicholas Baer sporting the Iowa sweatshirt. I joked with you. Do you your closet has to be filled with like Iowa apparel still, maybe?
Always. Yeah. So this is actually a discussion I had with my wife when we were moving. She's like, there's some stuff in here from like 2014, 2015. We need to get some new gear in here. But I've now used, obviously I keep some of the nice stuff for great occasions like this. But the others I definitely use a lot this winter. I've been shoveling a lot in the new house. So got some sweat equity in the home, and definitely using my warm Iowa clothes as much as possible to get some of that stuff done.
I love it. Please tell me it was, when did you graduate?
Graduated from Iowa in 2019.
So it's been 7 years.
Yeah, 6-7 years. Yeah, my first.
Don't do the 6-7 thing, Nicholas. Don't do the 6-7 thing.
Geez.
Please don't.
It's over already.
Okay, good.
This is already. Oh well.
But that makes me feel old. So when did you graduate from? I don't want to do math in my head. 2014 from Bettendorf. 2015.
That's 2014.
Jeez. You know what? And last time you were on, I think we talked about it. Dylan Sortillo's roaming around on the East Coast doing big things. I got to get a hold of that kid. Anyways, let's focus on the task at hand. The Hawkeyes this week, I want to get to Iowa State and your experiences in Ames and all those kind of things. I think it's great perspective. But this team overall, you watched them against Michigan State, and that's something that happens to teams in the Breslin Center. They struggled there, but I was more equally as impressed with the bounce back on Saturday. Talk about suffering a loss like that and then kind of getting back on your feet at home in front of a home crowd and playing the way they did against Maryland.
Yeah, I think, starting Big Ten play against the champs in East Lansing, that's always going to be a difficult task. Whether they're the reigning champs or just in general, a Tom Izzo team that's always going to be difficult to play against. So definitely struggled up there, but I think, kind of like you mentioned too, was pretty impressed how they bounced back. Which I think that's kind of the motto you got to be able to have playing the Big Ten. Like, you're going to play on the road sometimes and maybe not play as well as you want to, but there's no real rest, right? Like, you get another big time team coming in against Maryland, and for the most part did a really nice job bouncing back. Really efficient game against Maryland, and 1-1 in Big Ten play. So I always, sometimes these early conference matchups I take with a little bit of a grain of salt. Like, you always kind of look back in like late February, it's like, man, what was that result? Like, that team beat that team, and I think it just goes to show that teams can grow and develop quite a bit over the course of a season too.
Nicholas, what's the mindset in a locker room after a loss, especially in the Big Ten? Because I thought Fran always did a really good job of bouncing back, especially when you maybe drop one on the road and you get to come back home. I know it's earlier in the season, but Big Ten games are opportunities. Is there more focus, or I guess how did you guys focus after a loss, and was it a lot different than maybe if you're on a 3-4 game win streak?
I think a little bit. I mean, usually obviously after a loss everyone's like a little bit down, but I think it's more so kind of points out where you need to improve, right? So I think that's one thing Coach McCaffrey always did a really nice job of, was being able to look at the film, highlight, after a day or so, taking the emotion out of it, just being able to look at like, hey, here's where we came up a little bit short, here's where we need to improve and practice a little bit. So I think the biggest thing is just being able to kind of flush the emotional part of it. Like, I think that's kind of the hang up that a lot of times, you got to remember these guys are 18 to 21 years old, playing in the big stage. And sometimes that's hard to do, but I think that's more of like a life skill that you learn as well, like being able to move on to the next thing and next event. And in the Big Ten specifically, and obviously playing against some really tough opponents, you can't really dwell on previous performance, especially if it didn't go as well as you wanted it to. So I think it's more so just being able to move on to the next thing and be able to perform as much as you can.
2 games into Big Ten play. I think they're 9 games in overall. I guess I'll ask you the duh question first. Bennett Sturts, even though it wasn't, an amazing game at Michigan State, it's funny because he played quote unquote bad and he still had 14 points and 4 assists and did some good things. Your overall thoughts on him through 9 games, maybe 2 in the Big Ten. People I think were interested to see him in this conference, if that makes any sense, and see how it translates or equates in the Big Ten. Your thoughts on maybe how he looks in the setting on the big stage in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, really impressed, right? I think looking at him, I know he's kind of billed as this All-American coming in, and he's lived up to the billing so far. I know difficult showing in East Lansing. Those things happen, right? Especially early in the season in November. So really impressed with how he bounced back, the whole team did. But I think him specifically, like, he's definitely the straw that stirs the drink, so to say. Like, I think Iowa goes where he goes. And just I think 2 things I've been most impressed with him, his kind of durability, right? I mean, he's playing 37, 38 minutes a game and a guy who just like doesn't seem to really get tired, right? Like both on the offensive end, but also importantly for Coach McCollum as well, the defensive end, right? So been pretty impressed with that. And he just really doesn't seem like a guy who gets rushed at all. Like I think sometimes like these guards, like they can get rushed, get pressured. It's going to be a big key against Iowa State specifically, like not, turn the ball over, live ball turnovers. And I think I've been pretty impressed with him just playing at his own pace and not being rushed just by whatever defense is being thrown at him. So I'm glad he's in the black and gold. That's for sure. You
mentioned getting rushed. I always think of Fran saying, we got sideways. That was always this thing in the post game. We got sideways with things. You mentioned that amount of minutes. You played a lot of minutes, and you played some games where you logged, big minutes, which is a good thing. But also, you want to stay rested. What is that like? And did you play a lot of? I'm trying to think back. Did you play a lot of 35 to 40 minute games? And what is that like? Because I don't think people realize. Everybody, when you're little, you're like, I want to play. I'll play all game. But like. It's hard to do at the college level, and he's doing it night in and night out.
Yeah, I think I didn't play like the 35 plus minutes as much. I mean, I remember talking with like Jordan Bohannon, who was playing that kind of level of minutes, and the treatment he received kind of like after the game, like making sure that keep his body right was always pretty intense. But I think for me, I remember the few times where my minutes did get up to that level. It was more like the physicality. Some of it's like the cardio piece, but more of it's like, man, I got 3 or 4 bruises from where? How did this bruise get here? Like, how did this happen? Type of thing. And I think obviously with, kind of the 2 different styles between Coach Cav and Coach McCollum, we were running and gunning. So it was important to be in, a little bit better shape. Whereas I know Coach McCollum and this year's Iowa team slows it down a little bit more. So it's different, but it's also, once you get down to that under 4-minute mark in the second half, like there's no time to be tired. Right. And I think that's the thing that I've been most impressed with both, Bennett Sturts, but this kind of entire Iowa team is just kind of the pace they're able to play at and being able to perform there.
Former Hawkeye, Nicholas Baer joining us on Off the Air. I want to get to Iowa State in a second, but one more quickly on the Hawks. Currently, Bennett gets the headlines. It's an easy one. Is there another Hawkeye that has impressed you so far this season? Maybe a surprise, maybe a guy you expected, not named Bennett Sturts. That's the easy duh question.
Yeah. No, I think these last couple of games, I've been really impressed with Cooper Koch. I think stepping up offensively, shooting the ball really well. I think he's, from what I've seen, kind of like the secondary scorer, like the next option if Sturts is covered or, doesn't have it going. So I think how he's performed that way, also just rebounding wise, that he's done a really nice job on the glass, especially this team, needs some help in that area. So I've been most impressed with him. And again, you're not a guy who came from Drake, right? Like a former guy who's on this Iowa team last year and has been able to you really kind of coalesce with this group that's been playing together for a while. So I've been pretty impressed with him. Like to kind of see him continue to be a Big Ten player.
You are undersized as a rebounder in the Big Ten. I think that's
safe
to say.
Jazzo.
That's safe to say.
Man.
You weren't 6'10". Did you grow? Did you grow? And tell me, what's that mentality like? Because that's Iowa this year. I mean, there's a lot of length and size in the Big Ten, and they're not huge up front. What do the Hawkeyes have to have mentality wise in order to compete now in the Big Ten on the glass and inside?
It's interesting. Some of it's, I think a lot of times one of the kind of common tropes is that rebounding is just all mental. Like that's the only thing. It's all just like attitude, which there's a certain piece of it. Rebounding is also a skill too. Like there's also a skill development to it where like you got to box out. You got to be able to, kind of understand, hey, where's this ball likely to go? Where am I? Even if there's 3 guys on the other side and maybe the ball might be going over there. If I have no chance of going over there, let's find a way where I can actually get the ball where it's going to potentially land. So I think for this team specifically, I know that kind of a lot of like-sized guys, especially on the wings, being able to box out and then go in and attack the glass. I think that's been one area of potential improvement. I know got out-rebounded by both Michigan State and Maryland, so I'm sure it's going to be a point of emphasis, especially going into this game against Iowa State, but have full confidence Iowa can definitely compete on the glass for sure.
It is Cyhawk week on the hardwood. Before we get to the game itself, you've watched Iowa State. I think I watched live more Iowa State Purdue than I did the actual Iowa-Maryland game. I caught up on the Iowa-Maryland game. 4 kids are busy, Nicholas. You wait, my friend. You wait. It's watch basketball while you can.
Sure.
Iowa State goes to Purdue. You've been to Purdue. You know what Mackey's like. They win by 20-plus points. And they've gotten signature victories over several schools. What do you see from Iowa State? And maybe specifically on Saturday that kind of opened your eyes as they get ready to take on the Hawkeyes on Thursday?
Yeah, no one likes to give Iowa State their flowers less than I do, that's for sure. But this team, pretty darn good. I would say that win against Purdue, I've had a chance to play in Mackey. I would say Mackey's probably the toughest place I've had a chance to play in terms of an atmosphere. Went in there, won by 20 and really dominated that second half. I was trying to think, that might be the most impressive non-conference road win in the last 4 or 5 years in all of college basketball. And going in number 1, undefeated, very senior-laden group in Purdue and going in there and really dominating, especially in the second half. So I think the biggest difference here between Iowa State and what some other teams that Iowa's face is just kind of the pure shooting ability. Michigan State, not a ton of shooters. Maryland had some shooters, but you look at Iowa State, I think they have 4 or 5 guys shooting above 40% from 3. You're going to have 4 shooters spread out. No one you can really just leave wide open, right? So I think that's going to be a little bit more of a challenge for this Iowa team. But again, this is why you come to Iowa, though. Playing these games, playing this in this atmosphere, and playing a Cyhawk game of this magnitude against, I think they're number 4 in the country. So that's what it's all about.
What does an Iowa victory look like? You mentioned they can shoot it, all those kind of things. I think Iowa doesn't want to maybe get into a shootout. Former Iowa teams probably did want to outscore you. What does it look like? If Iowa leaves Ames with a victory over a top 5 team on Thursday night, what has to happen? What will it look like for Iowa?
Yeah. If you want Nicholas Baer's keys to the games, let's go, Dad.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I think
that's not sponsored yet, but that could be sponsored. Yet. Anybody listening? Okay. I love it. Good go on.
I would say, first and foremost, take care of the ball. This team, especially at home, is going to pounce on live ball turnovers, turning basically turnovers into touchdowns, right? So I think that's a key, especially Ben Sturt's going to have the ball in his hands quite a bit, making good decisions that way. I know we talked about the glass a little bit. I think this team specifically is shooting so well. This Iowa State team, if you give them second chance opportunities, kick out threes, that's going to be really difficult. So I think controlling the glass, and then lastly, I think someone's got to come along a little bit with Sturtz. And I think for me, the guy that I would look at that I think needs to kind of have a big game is probably Fulgaris. I think, matching up with the bigs of Iowa State, I think being able to kind of provide that scoring punch that this team might need against a tough Iowa State defense, pretty unique defense as well. So I think what I'm most interested to see is kind of the matchup of kind of how Coach McCollum goes about attacking this a little bit more unique Iowa State defense. They're going to funnel you to the corners, into the baseline, and come and double. And I'm interested to see, kind of how this Iowa team reacts to that. But obviously, need a big game from Ben Sturtz and some guys that come along with them, which I believe will happen. So I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to this Iowa team competing and getting a win.
That's some Big Ten Network kind of stuff right there, Nicholas. You're wasting your talent on me. You should be on the Big Time. Hey, Brendan Hausen is a guy that's gone to Hilton Coliseum, made big shots with Kansas State, really played well there last year. And you don't have any direct contact with the Iowa program. I don't have Ben McCollum on my cell phone. It's a weird situation because when he came to Iowa, I thought, wow, that's a guy that maybe in a game like this can be a difference maker. And he just hasn't played a lot. like I said, you have no insight and knowledge. Your thoughts on him being at Iowa, his role right now, and in my opinion, that's somebody who's been in environments like this, and not just like this, in this actual environment that has succeeded. He seems like somebody that you would like to see make an impact on Thursday night.
Definitely. And I know you mentioned kind of being in this environment previously. I think that's, a huge benefit. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly kind of why maybe he's not playing as much. I would say over the course of the season, you're going to need everybody. Like, I think everyone's going to be kind of all hands on deck. So definitely someone who can shoot the ball really well. We've seen that, and we knocked in a couple against Michigan State too, kind of provide that spark off the bench. So yeah, I think, a guy that could potentially get a few more minutes, coming into the rest of the season. But yeah, I think I'll be just kind of interested to see if and when his services are relied upon.
Yeah, it's one of my mysteries this season. I've been watching and waiting and all that kind of things. All right, that building itself, Nicholas, we've talked about the actual basketball. What is that environment like? And you mentioned you played at Purdue. I mean, Purdue, you mentioned is a tough one. I know the Breslin Center and all that kind of stuff. Ranking wise, I know you probably don't have a laminated list, so this is not a pop quiz, but where do you put the Hilton? You might. How great would that be if Nicholas is like, hold on a second, I got my list. Yeah. Where's Hilton Coliseum when it comes to atmospheres and places to play? Because it is a definite home court advantage for the Cyclones.
Yeah, I would say Hilton's number 2. Mackey's number 1. I think for me, obviously, just I've been in the conference and had a chance to play there, really tough. But Hilton's a very close number 2 for sure, and I think that's what makes these rivalries fun. That's what makes playing big time college basketball fun. I remember when I was playing, I went there my redshirt freshman year, and like warming up 65 minutes, 70 minutes on the clock, student section completely full, and just heckling, hollering at you, trying to get you thrown off your game as much as possible. And some guys, I think some people would think, oh, that's you got to like go in and kind of like work through that, but like that's what gets you going. Like that's the part that like you enjoy, and that's why you come and play big time college basketball. So so I hope this Iowa team kind of lean into that, and I'm sure they will.
It's extra loud. I've only been to one game up there, but I know like, and Jake Brenn's been on the show, and he talks about the concrete structure and all that kind of stuff. He gets very scientific on me. It's just loud too. I mean, there's a packed house. What is it like when you're playing on that court with it? And I mean, not even just Hilton, but also Mackey in these places. It seems so loud. You're watching on TV, or if you're in the stands, it's just crazy. How did you block all that out? Like, what was it like for you in those type of environments, and what did you find yourself having to do to perform on that level?
So I'll kind of push back on that a little bit. Like, I think sometimes the crowd noise definitely plays a role if you're trying to like call out sets and communicate, for sure. But just like the fact that like it actually is loud, I think it's another kind of skill that you get as you get a little bit older. This Iowa team, I mean, they've been playing together for a while. They played in some big time games. Like, I think the more experience you kind of have, the less that noise actually maybe plays a factor. I think for me, I just kind of remember after you play in a few of these environments, like, okay, it's loud, cool. Like, we still have to run this set. We got to we already know what we're doing. We just got to go in and execute for the most part. So that was always kind of my mentality about it. And then the second part just being, yeah, hey, it's loud in here. This is fun. Like we have a chance to like really, play in a cool environment, and let's do everything we can to make it quiet. So I'm sure there's some scientific experiences of why maybe Hilton's a little bit louder, but at the same time, I think if you kind of have the experience of playing in loud environments, then it all works itself out.
Nicholas, do you have a moment in Ames that you remember about the Cyhawk series for you, whether it's off the floor, whether it's on the floor? Is there a moment at Hilton Coliseum that'll always stick out for you? Good, bad, or indifferent, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, when I think of that, we had a tough loss. I remember my redshirt freshman year there. I think Jared Udoff had like 29 in the first half, and Peter Jock came on in the second. And I think we struggled there at the end a little bit. So I remember that being a tough one. Like, hey, like the first Cyhawk game, have a chance to win at Ames, So that we let that one slip away, I think, and that's one that kind of just stings me a little bit. Thankfully, my senior year had a chance I went 2-2 against Iowa State and won a big one at home at Carver. So I had a chance to go out on a high note for sure, and I played pretty well in my last Cyhawk game, which I was excited about. So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I always just kind of enjoyed playing the Cyhawk series, and it's always a good time.
So you were 2-2. Were they home and home? Like, did you protect at home?
Yep. Protect at home, and then struggled in Ames for sure.
Give me a prediction for Thursday. I know what you're gonna say. You don't. I mean, let's be honest. You're wearing the Tiger Hawk on your chest.
I got my Tiger Hawk on, baby.
Yeah,
Come on.
give me a prediction. Give me a score. Can you do those kind of? I'm giving you pop quizzes.
Yeah.
I didn't prepare you. Have you thought about it that much?
I think if I'm thinking about this game about how I was going to need to win, it's going to be a little bit more of a controlled tempo, lower scoring game, right? It's not like if we get into a track meet, it's likely going to be a bit of an issue. So I think what's going to be most important for this Iowa team as well in controlling the tempo is just like getting off to a good start. I think too, like it's a little bit easier to control the tempo if you're up, 7 or 8 versus being down double digits, So I think for this team, if I was going to come out with a win, it's probably going to be in the mid 60s, I would think. So 63-57 Hawks. That's my prediction. There you go.
I love it. Do you and I go back to Julian Vandervelde, just a few more with Nicholas. I gotta let him go on his day, but Julian Vandervelde is that guy that, like, as a freshman at Iowa, as a football player, said to the media, "I hate the entity that is Iowa State," and made it so that freshmen didn't talk to the media until just recently. You grew up in the state of Iowa. You grew up a Hawkeye fan. Nobody's listening, just you and me. Do you hate Iowa State?
I do, absolutely. Which is tough now. I live in Ankeny, so I'm not too far from Ames. There's a lot of Cyclones around here. But the thing I would add to that, though, is like, and I've mentioned that a couple times just in this interview, like, that's what makes it fun a little bit. Like if you're not like going in this game thinking like this is a rivalry and this is a fun game, like then there's something that you got to probably change about your attitude a little bit. So I'm not a huge fan of Iowa State. I've never made no bones about that. I know some people always kind of say like, well, as long as Iowa State's not playing Iowa, like I'll root for them. Not in my blood, not how I go. But I think that's what makes kind of an Iowa State rivalry fun, and I'm looking forward to a good game on Thursday.
All right, before I let you go, you're a sports fan in general, and you're up there in that area. What was this week like for Iowa State football and your fellow friends that are around you? And that's wild. I mean, that's a guy that's been loyal to a program for 10 years. Be honest, were you kind of smirking and smiling, or just your thoughts on Matt Campbell leaving Iowa State and heading to Penn State?
I think Matt Campbell leaving, definitely difficult for Iowa State, right? And as much as I'd love to see Iowa State, not be as successful, I think there's also an interest in Iowa State somewhat being successful, right? If I was going to play him every year in that program, getting to the stature that they've been at with Matt Campbell, and really I think they've won 2 of the last 3 Cyhawk games, maybe the last 3, I can't quite remember. So I think there's no I'm not really like hoping like, oh man, I hope Iowa State really continues on their super successful venture they've had with football, but at the same time they run a great program, like they run a great athletic department, and I think I know they already have a new coach in there, so I'll be interested to see. I know the Iowa State friends I do have are very, very bummed out about Matt Campbell no longer being on the Iowa State sideline, but I'm excited to see potentially what he has a chance to do at Penn State. But if I was going to play this non-conference game every year in the Cyhawk game, I hope it's against a quality opponent. So that's my very small rooting interest for Iowa State to maintain good football team.
Would you keep, this is way off subject, would you, if you were Iowa, if you were Beth Getz, Nicholas Baer replaces, he's now the athletic director at Iowa, would you play Iowa State every year in football?
I think so. I think I still would. I think it's interesting, I think as you're looking at the college football landscape now, I think you're going to see fewer teams go out on a limb and play tough non-conference schedules based on kind of like how this committee just went about deciding on the 12 teams in the playoff. But I think this is the part where like my resident Iowan sets in. Like I love the Cyhawk rivalry. This is a great rivalry. I think this is what makes college sports special. This is what makes college sports, the reason that we, attend these events, watch these events, care about these events. So I think if we've lost the Cyhawk rivalry, then the game's gone. Like I think that's kind of where I'm at as a college football fan. If I were the Iowa athletic czar or athletic director, however hypothetical situation you want to put me in, but definitely want to kind of see the Iowa State rivalry continue.
Why does it have to be hypothetical, Nicholas? Why are you not the head of the Iowa athletic program?
That's a great question. I think I have a few rungs still to climb to get there. So
last one, how are you watching the game? Like what's a game watch for you these days? Is the missus in there watching you act like an idiot and like jump around? Are you still that, like, cause I've evolved. I used to be an idiot watching games. I remember when I first started dating my wife, now 20 years ago, probably plus. And like, I would be exhausted after an Iowa game. And she's like, why are you sweating? Why are you? And I'm like, it's just the way I watch games. Now I just watch and watch normal. Are you a nut watching the Hawkeyes? What's the game situation for you?
So I like to watch at home, which is kind of my preferred way of watching. Sometimes some people like to just go, hey, let's watch at a bar type of thing. But I kind of like to just be able to like lock in focus, especially like a big time Iowa game like this. So I'll be watching at home. One of the things I really do appreciate about my wife is thankfully I'd married into a family that is very pro Iowa and might potentially, have as much disdain for ISU as I do. So there's no, trouble there, but I really kind of appreciate, on Thursday, we might both be watching, get a chance to watch this Iowa game. So I like to watch at home if I can, and just kind of lock in and text my, other Iowa buddies about it as well.
Yeah. My wife came from an Illinois family. And so when we started having kids, like there was no orange. I didn't let him wear I think Charlie doesn't like cheese to this day because it's orange. I honestly think that like he doesn't do cheeseburgers and stuff because I put into his head so much when he was little that like orange is bad because I don't want my in-laws to influence. They can do whatever they want in life, but I get to choose their sports teams. That's why they like the Lions as well. Hey, Nicholas, I appreciate you. We'll do this again real soon. Hopefully this prediction 63-57 we'll put you down for that. And Nicholas's keys to the game, I want everybody to pay attention to those as well. I like that. So I appreciate you, buddy. We'll catch up with you again real soon.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, that is Nicholas Baer joining us right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. It is a big week. It's Cy-Hawk week, and no one knows it, and maybe can explain it more than Nicholas. Obviously, played 4 of them, 2 in Ames, 2 in Iowa City, 2-2 all time for Nicholas Baer against the Cyclone. See if the Hawkeyes can shock the world a little bit on Thursday night and get a victory over the Cyclones. We got a lot more to get to coming up after the break. We'll talk more on this game and what a crazy week it's been for the Iowa State Cyclones. One of the best in the business, Keith Murphy from WHO TV in Des Moines will join us coming up here in a little bit right after the break. You're watching OTA. We'll be right back. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Hey, Quad City parents, tired of this?
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. So much going on in the world of sports, especially in the state of Iowa. It started last Thursday with rumors and rumblings that Matt Campbell would be leaving, possibly leaving, then a new head coach, then a blowout victory for Iowa State. Iowa's playing great basketball. It's Cyhawk week. There's so much to get to, and I figured with everything that's going on in the state of Iowa, I would reach out to arguably, and I don't think it's much of an argument, the best in the state of Iowa when it comes to covering sports. Keith Murphy from Des Moines, from WHO TV, joins me right now. Keith, thank you for slumming it with me here in the Quad Cities on a Tuesday morning. I appreciate you.
That's a nice introduction, Matt, and I appreciate it. I'm glad to be with you.
It's been wild. You've been doing this a few years. I don't want to age you, my friend. You look great.
It's okay.
I'm ready. Have you been part of a crazier? I felt bad reaching out to you yesterday because I've been there. I know it. I know you probably had live shots every single hour of the day, new coach here, all these kind of things going on. What was this past week like for Iowa State fans and that community? Because it's about as crazy as I can remember.
I think you'd have to go back to the Larry Eustace saga to find something that was that crazy, with new development seemingly every hour or every few hours. And that went on for several days. And then, as you know, Matt, mixed in there somewhere is Iowa State going to number 1 Purdue and just beating down the Boilermakers at Mackey Arena, which never happens. Yeah. 23-point win at number 1 Purdue. And that's mixed in with all this angst and in some cases, disappointment, anger. Cyclone fans are going through these stages of grief. And in the middle of all that, you have this landmark basketball win, and then the Cyhawk game coming up, which both for the women and the men are marquee matchups. So, yeah, it was kind of a crazy time, and I do think the stages of grief are probably what happened. You know, the anger, the denial, the bargaining, the acceptance. I think Cyclone fans went through all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Keith, when you look at it too, and there's so many layers, let's kind of peel them back a little bit and start with Matt Campbell. And you know, from this side of the state, and maybe not being as locked in with Iowa State athletics, you appreciated everything he was doing. And it was always in the back of my mind, he'll probably end up going someplace else. But I remember the Kirk Ferentz early years, and he'll probably end up going someplace else, and he was just loyal and stayed. So it's not shocking to me that Matt Campbell eventually left, but this cycle is so weird when it comes to coaching, and it felt like it was almost over, and it wasn't like the first thing that happened, and then all of a sudden here's Matt Campbell, and here's word that Penn State's interested. When did you find out about it? And when you started to hear this starting, what were your thoughts as somebody who's covered him for the last decade?
We found out Thursday night that Penn State had flown into Ames and that the black kind of limo SUV had gone directly to Matt Campbell's house. So on a couple of levels, that made me realize, oh, this is real and could happen, because number one, over the years, Matt has said no to a lot of inquiries. There's probably some myths out there that Campbell has turned down countless jobs. As you know, Matt, it's got to get to the stage of an offer before you can turn it down. And that usually doesn't happen. By the time there's actually a meeting, either through a third party or through some back channels, the sides know if there's actual legitimate interest there, or if this is just a play for a contract extension or more money or more NIL, whatever it might be. So when the interview is taking place at Matt's house, we know, oh, this is real, because he's got neighbors. He knows that the media know people out at the airport and that surrounding area. This is not being kept a secret. He didn't, fly off to Terre Haute, Indiana and meet at the Holiday Inn Express. This is pretty out there. So by the end of Thursday night, I felt like Matt Campbell is probably going to Penn State. And then Friday, we knew that it was just a negotiation. And unless something drastic fell apart, there was no turning him around. And this was, I think, frustrating for Cyclone fans, because there was some information out there that, maybe Jamie Pollard could counter and negotiate his way out of this. But did you see the terms of what Matt Campbell got at Penn State?
Yeah.
There was no turning him around on this, both for personal reasons, dreams, ambitions, family, but he doubled his salary with some crazy incentives in there. Like it adds another year and more money each time he goes to the college football playoff with Penn State, win the national championship 2 years and even more money. All the money is guaranteed. And probably most important for what Matt Campbell wants, because he had all the money he could ever need in Ames, Iowa, but he's going to get triple the NIL money to spend on players that he had at Iowa State. And if there's anything that pushed him, it's probably that. The team with the best players usually wins.
Yeah, and you look at it too, he's going home. You know, it wasn't like he was going to USC, which had been rumored in the other places. I mean, he's also going home as well. When you think of Matt Campbell in Iowa State, and you've been there through all of it, and everybody respects the heck out of him. You know, the Iowa side of stuff is Gary Dolphin was on the show yesterday, and he's like, you watch what he's done in Ames, and you have to admire what he's done. What will you remember about the Matt Campbell era? Or like when I say to you, Matt Campbell meant this to Iowa State, what is that?
I think it's just that he checked so many boxes that had never been checked at Iowa State. You know, whether it's winning 10 or more games, getting to a championship game, or actually competing for the conference championship and in a legitimate way, not when there were divisions and one division was clearly weaker than the other. He raised expectations for the entire program, where 8-4 this season was mildly disappointing. And that, for those of us who have been around long enough, is unimaginable. Yeah. Now, he's not the only reason that Iowa State football has elevated. Certainly, the stadium is barely recognizable from where it was 20 years ago. The facilities have been upgraded. The fundraising is in a much better place. The new RV lot is a huge hit with fans. So for many reasons, the program has been elevated, but the main reason is Matt Campbell. I mean, they have consistently won, and even the best Iowa State teams in the past usually did not win on the road in the conference and usually got blown out by the best teams. And Campbell's teams almost always won at home, and then in conference play won a lot of road games and beat some good teams like, you know, Baker Mayfield and Oklahoma with a third string quarterback, 8 or 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Those are the things, the boxes checked that just weren't there before.
It was a emotional weekend, and I mean that. And I always tell people when you're covering a story, the better stories have the most emotion, and when it comes to whatever aspect you're going to. And there was emotion behind what happened. You saw Jamie Pollard get emotional, you saw Matt Campbell get emotional, you saw fans get emotional, you got media that got emotional. Can you kind of explain to this side of the state, even, or just maybe people who weren't in as close, why was there so much emotion? And that's not a bad thing. I'm not making fun, at all, but he really was part of that community, and that brought out a lot of emotion, didn't it?
It did. Matt was really good with fans and charities and hospital appearances, and he never embarrassed the university in any way. There was never a scandal. He was just very well liked. Now, he was in front of the media, he was almost a robot with his answers. He was very much modern day coach speak, which some of that has been brought around by social media. Coaches are just more careful these days. It's hard to have a Hayden Fry or Johnny Orr in 2025. But Campbell out in the community was really good with fans, and there was a real bond there. And the fact that he was courted by other programs and even at times NFL teams, that made Cyclone fans really proud that the program had elevated to the point where the coach wasn't going to leave at the first opportunity, that he was sincere when he said he wanted to stay and build something. And I think 10 years gets him a pass on that. Most realistic fans didn't expect him to stay for life, but that was kind of the hope that fans had, that maybe he was going to be a guy that just made this his only stop for the rest of his career. Didn't turn out that way, but I think those fans knew that there were a few places they always had to keep an eye on. When the Notre Dame opening was there, Fans are like, this is one of the things you have to worry about. When the Ohio State opening was there, same deal. And Penn State was kind of that third, because they're all within a few hours of where he grew up, in that passionate place in Ohio where they love football so much. And he would love to be in that area. USC never made sense to me. Matt Campbell at USC, but the USC was interested right up until Lincoln Riley became available in the 11th hour. And then USC was like, oh, we can get Lincoln Riley. We better do that.
Yeah. Keith Murphy joining us right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Keith, you look at it, and every good athletic director always has a short list. They're ready to go, whether everything's going great and things at Iowa State. And almost, if things are going great, you almost need it more than ever, because that's when people come calling. It was a quick transition to Jimmy Rogers. Before we talk about the introductory press conference and how he did, that's quickly done. How did that come about? Is that kind of what I just said, that you always are ready, and he probably had a little more of an advance than the media and the rest of us, and that came to fruition pretty quickly, didn't it?
As fast as I've ever seen it. We were saying all day Friday on Murph and Andy, when we were live and all this was going down, we were talking about Jamie Pollard always has a list, and he always has a top candidate in mind, and this will all move quickly once it's finalized. But I didn't think it would be that quick. He's had communication with Jimmy Rogers. Rogers seems like he's a good fit. And I believe what Jamie Pollard was doing, and his thought process was going to show the fan base right away that life goes on. We're going to be okay. We got a good coach coming in. If it were up to me, if he were asking me my advice on that, I would have given it just a little bit of time, because I think the 1-2 punch was just a lot for fans to process. They get the confirmation, even though they're having, hopes, Hail Mary hopes that maybe there's some way Matt Campbell will stay. They get that news, and within 5 minutes, they get the news that they have a football coach. And that was a little bit too much. Just like, your girlfriend broke up with you, and I know you're in pain, but hey, look at this hot woman I've already set you up with. I mean, forget her. Check this woman out. She's a smoke show. I mean, come on, let's move on. Get over it. Let's go. And that wasn't Jamie Pollard's intent, of course. But I think some fans, it just was too abrupt for them. I know what Jamie Pollard's intent was, and he knows more about this than I do. But I just think fans needed at least a few hours, if not to the next day, for that announcement to come. But as you know, there's so many moving parts, including trying to keep the players from starting to look elsewhere for a place to go, because there's unlimited transfer in this crazy era of college athletics we're in.
That's an amazing analogy, spot on. And you look at it too, it's college football the way it is. I mean, they're playing the game, and the game's got weird rules right now, so you have to kind of play the game as it goes. It's always hard to replace a legend. And when all's said and done, Matt Campbell's going to be a legendary head football coach. When people look back at Matt Campbell, you can say it now, but definitely in the future, what he did with this program is legendary. It's hard to replace a legend. Someday, maybe John Sears has to try, that bum John Sears has to slide into your role, or whatever it may be. I love John, but it's always hard to be the guy after Matt Campbell, or someone who does it at a high level. It starts with that introductory press conference. How did Jimmy Rogers do in your opinion? And I mean, it's not a make or break type of thing, but that's a first step of learning, like you said, the new hot girl as she comes to town. What'd you think of how he did yesterday?
I think he did well. It's important to kind of fire fans up again, or at least make them feel like, okay, things are going to be all right. National championship at South Dakota State. He was 27-3 there. He went to Washington State for just 1 year. So that's alarm bells for some people, that he was just there 1 year. So I think the two things he needed to do that he did, he constantly praised Matt Campbell and thanked him for how great the culture that Rogers was stepping into. That was very smart, and I think it was sincere. The other thing he did was just make it really clear that he had no plans to leave Washington State after 1 year, but he had always hoped that he could go to Iowa State. He had formed this relationship with Jamie Pollard the past few years. They'd kept in touch. And if this opening came, he wanted to take it. And it's a big step for him, too, because we tend to think in our minds of Washington State as a Pac-12 team, but it's not anymore. It's a group of 5 team. So much like Matt Campbell's, not only his salary, but his NIL money goes way up at Penn State. Same thing is happening with Jimmy Rogers. He's got like $2.5 million for players at Washington State. He gets $13 million at Iowa State. So it's a big step up for him too. And he steps up to the Big 12 conference. So I think those 2 things that he needed to do, he did well. And he was self-deprecating too. He said he goes, I'm sorry about my face. I have RBF. Which
I love that.
I won't repeat what that is, but it's resting face.
Face, yeah.
And he said he was sorry his kid had it too. So he said, I wish I could change the way I look, but I'm not mad all the time. It's just my face. Years of working sports in Iowa. We don't know. We don't know how this is going to work out. It could be Steve Prohm. It could be TJ Otzelberger. It could be Paul Rhodes. It could be Matt Campbell. You just don't know.
No, absolutely. Keith, one more football-wise, then I got to get some basketball, then I got to get you out of here because you're a popular man. When it comes to not playing in a bowl game, I think it's so different with everybody. There's like 10 teams now, 11 teams, whatever it is. And I think different schools do it for different reasons. I think Notre Dame's reason is a lot different than maybe Iowa State's reason. I didn't have any problems with it because you mentioned you don't know what your roster looks like. Again, part of the college football calendar that it's awful. But your thoughts on Iowa State not playing in a bowl game? Was it out of necessity? Was it out of your thoughts on what would the reason was for the Cyclones?
There were dissent, but I think the main reason the players did it is they're hurt and many of them are going to leave. And they know that, and Iowa State was already hit really hard by injuries this season. And there are legitimate concerns about what would that roster look like? Could they practice after the exodus begins, which with the new 15-day portal window when a coach leaves, it'll probably happen pretty fast. So there's that side of it where you can intellectually understand it and process it. And then the flip side of it is fans were angry. And I understood that too, because this isn't Simpson or Central College or whatever Division III college you want to name. This is not playing for love of the game anymore. These guys are not only getting full cost of attendance at college, which is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on where you are, but they're paid to play now. And the NIL money in some cases is thousands of dollars, in some cases 10,000 and 10,000s, and in a few cases it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. So fans feel like, well, you got to finish what you started or give that money back, or you shouldn't get your December check, or what about that? So there was anger, I think, more than you ever would have seen it before because of NIL, because these are essentially professional athletes at this point. But because the schools don't want to make them employees to keep them from being able to collectively bargain and have to pay them benefits, we continue to pretend they're not employees. But because they're not employees, you don't actually have contracts. So there's really nothing that can be done. And the whole situation, just for a lack of a more complex word, sucks.
Yeah, no, 1,000%.
Yep.
Keith Murphy joining us right now on OTA. Keith, now there's like, hey, do all this stuff with the coaching change and everything, and now shift your attention to the biggest rivalry in the state and 2, not 1, but 2 really good basketball games. We just got done with Nicholas Baer, so we'll hold on the men for a second. This women's game, I argue, is the better of the 2 matchups. It's a top 11. It'd be nice to say top 10, but it's a top 11 matchup. 2 undefeated teams going into Wednesday night. What do you love about this matchup? And I think it's going to be one of the better games that this series has had. And it's full of really good games. It should be an awesome game.
Yeah, I love that I don't know what's going to happen. The men's game, I think I know what's going to happen, but I don't actually know. But I think I know. In this one, I don't know.
Okay.
And That's awesome. These are two really good teams, and Iowa State was disappointing last year, all things considered. And this year, the Cyclones have kind of changed their approach, and they have a little more depth than they've had in the past. They have a little more outside shooting, and Bill Fenley has clearly made it a point that the ball needs to go into Audie Crooks every time. She may not shoot it, maybe she's going to pass it back out, but give her a touch every time down the floor, and she's the leading scorer in college basketball, men or women. So she has taken her game up a notch. I mean, she would be a first-team All-American right now if there was a vote. So she's a problem, but she also has help from other really good players. Over at Iowa, you got that really interesting mix of young, talented players and some savvy veterans out there like Feuerbach and Hannah Stolke. So you also have Iowa's recent success. Iowa has got the best of Iowa State in this series, probably a lot more than Bill Fenley and the Cyclones would like. So they're highly motivated. Iowa State really wants to win this women's basketball game. Of course, Iowa does too. But Iowa State has been dominating the Cyhawk series so far this year, and they want to keep it going with a sweep in Ames.
You look at it too, and you mentioned Audie Crooks, Iowa with some size that maybe they normally have. Ava Hayden, arguably their best player this season. We've been blessed in the state of Iowa. When you look at the Luca Garzas and the Caitlin Clarks and the Keegan Murrays, and that's the Iowa side of it, and Iowa State's had their fair share of great basketball players. Isn't Audie Crooks that next national star? I mean, she, numbers-wise, here is college basketball, and the best player, numbers-wise, is sitting here in this little old state of Iowa. I think she's the next of what's been a ridiculous run of amazing basketball talent here in the state of Iowa.
She is, and she is a delightful person. If you go, I remember John Sears doing a story on her, and she was singing the national anthem at the game, and she's playing basketball, and then she goes to the state track meet, and not only does she win state there, like the discus and shot put, but she has the top throws, like the top 5 or 6 throws in each event. She's just a great athlete. Her teammates love her. She is a delightful person. And she's not just all layups under the basket. Those are some of the highlights you see, but you've watched enough of her, Matt, to know that she's got a soft shooting touch. She can make free throws. Okay. She is a star. And you point out that matchup with Ava Hayden, that Hayden was a national player of the week a couple of weeks ago. And I think Audie Crooks was the national player of the week the next week. So that's a great matchup. There's a lot to follow here. And for those people who want to go to bed early, you get an early tip too. I think it's a 6 p.m. game.
Yeah. 6 p.m. for the women on Wednesday, and the top team for ESPN coming as well, including Rebecca Logobo. So all Good. Eyes in college basketball on Ames on Wednesday and Thursday as well. Let's talk about the guys for a second, because you look at that matchup, and we talked about Iowa State going to Purdue and doing what they've done. That's just another in the impressive victories that they've had already to start the season. TJ's got that thing rolling at a high level. As an Iowa fan, are you sitting there going, the hope is that Iowa State has a letdown? And I don't know if you can possibly have a letdown when you're hosting your state rival at your place in front of 15,000 people or whatever it is. What's the path to victory? I asked Nicholas Baer this. What's the path to victory for Iowa? If Iowa can go there and pull off an upset, what does it have to look like, Keith?
Well, Ben McCullum is a great coach, and most of the time he can beat another team, have his team beat another team with even lesser players or lesser talent, because he's kind of a coaching genius at figuring out what the path is to beat a team that maybe you shouldn't. He did that at Drake a lot. He'll do it at Iowa a lot. He also will find out the step up in competition here is significant. Like he got humbled a little bit at Michigan State. I don't think he was surprised, but he's not going to go into East Lansing and teach Tom Izzo any new wrinkles on basketball. That atmosphere, that coach, he couldn't just coach Iowa into beating a more talented and bigger and longer Michigan State team. So we saw that. he will have a plan for Iowa State that will be to try to melt the clock down as much as possible on each possession. Bennett Sturtz is in control of all that. He'll try to just shorten the game and maximize those possessions. You're not going to get a letdown from Iowa State. The atmosphere is going to be charged like it's rarely ever been, and they'll probably introduce the new football coach. So there's not going to be a letdown. But I think what Iowa could hope for is that the shooting cools off. I mean, Iowa State had a historically great shooting night against a bad Alcorn State team last week, made 22 threes and shot 73% from three. By embarrassing number one Purdue in their own arena. So you have a team that went back-to-back with just incredible shooting nights. So I think you hope the shots don't fall, that Bennett Sturtz and Ben McCollum can dictate tempo because Iowa State's going to try to run and Iowa's going to try to slow it down. And then you just have to have, for this night, Sturtz be the best player on the floor because there's too much on him with this lineup. I mean, it's basically Drake's lineup from last year. There's too much on Sturtz, but he's really good. And if he can be at his best, he can keep them in it.
Just a few more for Keith Murphy here and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Keith, you're in the heart of it. I love when you guys travel around for the Cyhawk game football wise, and you see what the state's like. Here in Eastern Iowa, it's probably more Iowa than Iowa State, but as you get into the heart of it, it's fantastic. What do you love about this week, this rivalry, these two schools? We've been blessed in this state. I mean, there's some states, I got one that I'm living in Illinois, that there's no in-state rival between the two schools. What's it like in your area, in the heart of this Cyhawk series?
Yeah, we're in Central Iowa pretty much in a split, a 50-50 split. And it hasn't always been that way. It leaned more Iowa. And then as you went west in my early years here, the more west you went, the more Nebraska football fans you'd come across, even in the state of Iowa. But one of the positives of the Jamie Pollard years at Iowa State is that there's no doubt the Cyclones have increased their number of fans. Now, statewide, there's still far more Hawkeye fans than there are Cyclone fans. But we're in that pocket where it's pretty darn even. So what I like about it is that everybody gets invested in the football game and the basketball game, even casual fans. And for the most part, and we're reminded on RVTV each year as we go around the state, for most people, it's a friendly rivalry, and it's a night of just diversion and pride, and you're rooting for your team and you wear your school colors. I lose sight of that sometimes when I'm reading posts or I'm on social media. I sometimes forget that the average person walking around downtown Des Moines, isn't trolling the other fan base. So I get a disproportionate look at fandom at times. And as we have a week like this, it reminds me it's just fun to have a basketball game that most people around here will be rooting one way or the other.
Yeah, absolutely. Keith, every Wednesday we have Jake Brend on, and he comes on here and he brags about how he beat you for Sportscaster of the Year every single time. Do you still tolerate him?
That's all I ever hear from him.
When you see him in public,
he sends me a card once a week.
Do you talk to him, or do you even just kind of distance yourself from that kind of negativity, if you will?
Yeah, I don't open the mail. I don't take his calls. I don't read his emails. I've blocked him on my phone. So I really don't even know what's happened to Jake Brend.
It's a beautiful thing. Can you tell people here on the eastern side of the state about Murph and Andy and how they can get all your content as well? Because Iowa Everywhere is an amazing thing. You guys continue to pump out awesome content, and you hear that word content, and I know you hear it. I've heard it. It's about content and good content, and you guys continue to kill it on a weekly basis.
Oh, well, thank you for that. Yes, it's fun to be a part of it, and it's Iowa Everywhere. And if you search Iowa Everywhere or Murph and Andy, wherever you get your podcast, just like if you're looking for Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, you put that in the search and it should come up on any platform that you have. And we're live Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 1. When we left radio, one of the reasons we did was just to improve quality of life. And that has done this for us, and not being on every day and not having a 2-hour stretch. It's it's made for a better life, and we really appreciate it. I'll leave the 5-day grind to you.
Yeah, it's funny when I started this, my wife's like, "You really want to do 5 days a week?" I'm like, "Yeah, it'll be great." And then there's a couple times I've been like, "Man, a day off wouldn't be too bad." The beauty of it is I'm assuming you're at home, correct?
I am.
That's the beauty part of it too.
I am in my office.
So you don't have to go into a radio group or radio station or wherever the studio. Your studio is here, and that's the beauty part for me as well. Keith, I appreciate your time. You're the best in the business. I love watching and listening to what you do. Keep doing great things, and you're a young pup. Don't you're a young pup. You're just getting started. Eventually, I think you might get some traction and do pretty good with this stuff.
Oh yeah, I plan to die right here on camera, Matt.
I love it.
I appreciate you're always really generous to me, too generous. But thank you very much for the kind comments and for having me on. It was fun.
Absolutely. Hey, I don't want you to die on my show, so I'll let you go. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Keith. Keith Murphy, WHO-TV in Des Moines. Murph and Andy, longtime radio, successful show, and now on Iowa everywhere, so you can check that out. And can you imagine that show being in Des Moines, the Ames area, and all that kind of stuff, and being live when these reports of Matt Campbell is leaving and planes coming in, and that's what happens now. I mean, I got text messages from this private plane is here picking up this person and all that kind of stuff. So what a wild week it's been in Des Moines in the state of Iowa as well. So Keith's been super busy. So for him to take some time in the middle of his morning to join little old me, I definitely do appreciate that as well. We got more to get to. Coming up after the break, we're going to turn our attention to the high school level. It's a really fun story up at North Scott. Paul Rucker back with the Lady Lancers as a co-head coach, and his daughter, who won the state championship with the program, played at Northern Iowa. Karli Rucker, fantastic young lady, is one of his coaches. So there's a father-daughter dynamic back at the pit. We're going to talk to them about that and much, much more. Don't go away. You're watching OTA right here on a Tuesday. We'll be right back.
Give me the keys. Learning to drive can be stressful for both the student and, yes, the parent as well. Relax. There's an easy way to avoid the stress. Skiles Driving School in East Moline has been helping new drivers hit the road with confidence for over 20 years. Whether you're a teen earning your first license or an adult looking for behind-the-wheel training, we've got you covered. Their certified instructors are patient, experienced, and use modern vehicles equipped for safety and comfort. From classroom instruction to real-world driving, we make learning safe, affordable, and even fun. Call 309-278-0098 or visit skylesdriving.com. Skiles Driving School. Get in, buckle up, drive your future forward.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. Basketball season in full swing on the high school hardwood as well. I love this month. We got the Mercy One shootout coming up for the guys coming up towards the end of the month. And in January will be the IH Mississippi Valley Credit Union girls shootout. So much great high school basketball to be had this time of year. And there's always great stories when it comes to high school sports, high school basketball in general. And one of them right now is up at North Scott, where it's a little bit of a family affair. And we're going to talk about it today on the show. Joining me now is Paul and Karli Rucker, head coach, co-head coach, Paul, over at North Scott, and your prize assistant / daughter, Karli Rucker, joining us right now. Karli, one of the greats at North Scott, and had a great career at Northern Iowa as well. Guys, first and foremost, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting us to come on.
Absolutely. Paul, I want to start with you because you've been coaching. I don't want to sound like you're old, so I'm going to say this nicely. You've been coaching for a while, and you've coached a lot of great players and been around the game a lot. When did you kind of realize that maybe the young lady sitting next to you might follow in some footsteps and kind of get in the coaching game as well?
Well, I always thought at some point she probably would, but when she came out of UNI, that's a long 5 years. All these kids and all these parents that haven't gone through it, I don't think they totally understand what it takes to excel at that level. And when you get out of there, sometimes you just need to take a little bit of time off. Plus, she was starting to teach in Davenport at Hayes Elementary, and that was a full-time gig that you really have to dedicate yourself to that, and didn't want to take on the extra with coaching right out of the bat, coming out of school. So it took a couple years, and then she dabbled in another job, and then everything kind of just aligned where Dave Lindenbrink, that's the coach at North Scott last year, called and asked if I wanted to think about coming back home. And so Karli and I had lunch, and I just said I was thinking about it, and she had her phone. I couldn't see it, but she was already looking up what the teacher jobs were available in the North Scott district. And so the next day she had a job interview, and then when she got the job, she says, I'm coming on to coach. And that's a super big blessing to me to have her be with us. But I like it that she made the decision. I told her way back when, you want to coach at Assumption or PV or wherever, you've got a ton of knowledge and experiences that these young women would just love to have someone be able to instill in them. But you don't have to do it with me, because I love basketball. I'm going to keep doing it. But it would be awesome if you were with us. So it just kind of all worked out.
Karli, kind of talk about it, because you hear this opportunity. Did you think right away when Dad said, hey, I'm thinking about coming home, were you ready, if that makes any sense, to get into the world of college coaching, or not college coaching, but high school coaching?
Yeah, I think just like he said, to piggyback on that, just after my 5 years at UNI, it's just like you spend so many hours in the gym. And it was just, after that last year, I was just kind of ready to take a step back. It's nice to be able to sit in the stands and not really have any eggs in anyone's basket. And it doesn't really matter who wins, who doesn't. Like, I just enjoyed going and watching a good basketball game. And so it was kind of nice to take that step back for a couple years. And then it's just like my experience at North Scott. There's nothing like playing in the pit and being in the pit, and just those experience and those memories that I've had over the years. So when I found out he was coming back, I really was like, man, that would work out perfect if I could get a teaching gig and then help out coaching. And I just want those girls to experience a little bit of the same thing that I experienced in my time that I was there.
I want to talk about that, because when your time was there, it was a pretty good time, and you have a state basketball championship under your belt. I think a couple soccer state championships under your belt as well. What does that place mean? It's one thing getting back into the realm of coaching or into coaching, but that place itself, I know, means a ton to you. You mentioned the pit. I know that place has memories for you. What was that like, going back to your alma mater and kind of getting a start at a place I know you love a lot?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Just the feel of being back in the pit and all of that. The first time you walk back in there after so many years, it just really brings back all of the memories and the time and the hours, and the friendship is a special place with special people around that really care, and a great community as well.
Paul, when this thing gets put together, what was the first couple weeks like? Or I have a feeling you guys have talked X's and O's more than enough around the dinner table and everywhere else. Did it align, Paul? Was it kind of what you thought when it came to what you've always done and what she's been used to, or what was the beginning part like?
I don't know. I think we're still figuring it out right now. We're on the infancy of this thing. We've had some pretty good discussions between Coach Lindenbrink and her and myself. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm kind of a dominant person on some things. I really have some things that are very important kind of to our culture and to even just the X's and O's. And so I think we're going to have some heated conversations sometimes, but it's good, because at the end of the day, we all go away knowing that we're trying to put the best product out there and have the best experience for our athletes that we can do. And I like it because sometimes you have assistants, and they're awesome assistants, they're awesome people, but maybe they don't have the basketball background. So now we have three people that all I'm not going to say eat, sleep, and drink basketball, but we do. But like we have a lot of our own thoughts. And when you bring that together and you kind of bang off of each other a little bit and have some friction, I think some good stuff comes from that. Now, if you had people that didn't love each other or care about each other, that might be a sticking stone and people leave and go do something else. But I think that's where a lot of good things come is kind of a little bit of that friction. You kind of polish the stone a little bit and get something beautiful out of it if you can handle those conversations. And I mean, most days it's easy, but like sometimes we've already had a couple of situations where like, I don't know, we should do this, we should do that. But I think that's when it's nice to have two other people with you, one to bear a little bit of the pressure of everything that goes on. Cause I don't think most people, unless they've been a coach at any level, understand you're kind of in a microscope in a fishbowl. Everybody's micromanaging every decision that you make. And so it is nice that you have people that understand and then really do have good ideas to put input into it.
Paul and Karli Rucker joining me right now and off there with Matt Randazzo. Karli, do you have a coaching style? Did you know you had a coaching style, or is this kind of developing as you go? And have you ever heard yourself yell something that maybe the guy next to you has yelled at you once or twice in your career?
Yeah, I would say developing each day. It's like I always look back and I'm like, it's interesting that each coach takes on a different role, like the head coach, and then you got some assistants and that sort of thing. And I think back in my time at UNI, and there was always like that one assistant coach that was kind of there to mend the gap a little bit and just be there and pat your back and make sure like they're giving you the positives. And that's always what I intend to do and want to do. But sometimes when things get heated and that sort of thing, and you really see something and you're trying to get the best out of someone, we'll see like over time. I'm sure I say some things that I've heard directly from him or other coaches in the past. And as a player, when you hear it, you're just like, oh gosh. And then now as a coach, you're like, okay, I understand why they were saying that, or why they said that so often. And so just being on that different side and having that different point of view, like I talked about, it's different, but it's good.
Paul, when you look at,
I don't want to interject, but
yeah.
I will tell you, she'll be a head coach someday if she wants to be, because you can already tell that she could do that right now, even though she's in her first year of ever coaching, but she has that skill set.
No, that's a beautiful thing. Paul, when you look at it too, we can, when I say we, maybe myself when I'm coaching my kids or yourself, but for her, she can say, hey, I did it. I did it here, and I did it a few years ago at the highest level. Does that resonate maybe with the young ladies, that not only can she tell them about it, but she can say, hey, I'm telling you this because I went through it and I did it. Is that a perspective that she brings that's beneficial?
Definitely. And I mean, she's seen all of it, like the highs, the lows, film sessions that were just crazy to sit through. So when these kids start experiencing, not that we do that, but some of the things that we're talking about, she has direct knowledge. And even though she's only 27, I mean, if they would Google her, because some of these kids are so young, that's like ancient times to them. So if they would Google and see what she did, then they'll be like, oh, so when she says that, we better listen because she can back it up. She's done it. And that is something that sometimes when you look at coaches, and it's like they may say whatever, and then kids are like, well, what do they know? I mean, like, what are their experiences? Her experiences are where some of these kids want to go. And so she's lived it. So then when you live it, and I mean, you live it at a super high level, you can speak it, and it does hold more water.
Karli, if I were you, I'd be the most hands-on head coach. I'd come in every practice and dominate, and I'd show them what to do. Do you get out there and show them what to do? Do you want to do that, or do you try not to do that? Like your dad's old. He can't go out there and show him stuff. He's going to break a hip. You're 27. Yeah. You're in your prime.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I mean, at the start of the year, I got a new pair of basketball shoes this year. I was like, I can lace them up. It's still a lot different, even though it feels like just yesterday. I'm a little out of shape, but it's fun to get to go up and down. And one thing we're really talking about is just we need a leader on the floor. And so I feel like I can kind of be that and show that when I step in and play alongside with them. Just that constant communication and that sort of thing. And that took a lot of years for me to figure out as a player. And so that's kind of something when you step in, like into that role and play with them, it's like you are that communicator and that leader on the floor for them. And so hopefully over the course of the year and some time here, that's something that they pick up on. But it is fun to be able to lace them up still and get out there.
Karli, I know the guy to your right or whatever it is, left on the screen, was influential. Who else has been influential when it comes to maybe your coaching style or your basketball? Obviously, you played for really good coaches at a lot of different levels. Do you see yourself taking certain things from maybe other coaches that you've had in the past?
Yeah, for sure. Even like looking back on players that I looked up to when we were little and mom and dad took us up to all the North Scott games, it was always Ashley Dexter back in the day when I was little that I looked up to. She was soccer and basketball, and that's what I ended up doing as well. And so just kind of having someone like that to look up to and be able to go and cheer and that sort of thing, that kind of got me excited as I grew older. And then now, I mean, it's just my dad has always been there throughout all of the years of coaching, and my mom as well. And so throughout the years, looking back, it's like they've by far been the most influential in my decisions and skills and that sort of thing in development as a whole. But really every coach that I've had, any sport, has honestly directly influenced me. And there's things that I remember from playing my 1 year of volleyball in high school from Coach Schubert. And so it's like just every single coach is able to influence you in different ways. And so just Coach Ralston and Coach Case in my time at in high school, always things that stick with you throughout the years and that allow you to bring all those memories and hold on to them, and then as well as college too. So I've been blessed with some amazing people and people to look up to, and that kind of helped shape my journey along the way.
Let's talk about the Lady Lancers of today. You guys got a game tonight against Muscatine. Paul, what's it been like to be back at the pit and be back, and your thoughts of what you have and maybe teaching the winning ways of the past? And there's been so much there. What was the approach as you got back to North Scott about these Lancers of today?
Well, the first time walking back into the pit, I'm not going to lie, it was kind of surreal because you've been gone for quite a long time at another school. And then to come back in, it was awesome, but it was also just a little bit weird. And now that we're back into and you have the parents meeting, you start meeting all your players, there's a up and are on to other things, you lose a little track. And then when you're coaching somewhere else, you're so focused on that you lose a little track. And so it took a little time. We got a lot of stuff going into it that's a great mix. I do think that they have had, a few years or whatever where it hasn't been where it once was, but everyone forgets things go in cycles, even the great programs. Sometimes you filter through some classes and maybe there are a lot of really good softball players and volleyball players. And so basketball now, even statewide everywhere, you're kind of losing some participation to some other things. But the kids that we have, I think we have decent numbers for what's going on right now in the society and the basketball culture or climate. But our kids, we're on the infancy of everything, because this summer did some things early in the summer. Then I like to let them have, we talked about it as a coaching staff, like August, man, like go be with your family and enjoy your family, go on a vacation, quit thinking about sports 24 hours a day. You need to decompress and, you've been going. And some of our kids are very multi-sport athletes. So like they're banging in sport after sport after sport. And so you need a little downtime to refocus. But like some of our kids, like they don't touch the basketball until they come November 10th. They walk in the gym and put their basketball shoes on, and away we go. And so we're learning all the stepping stones of, kind of our culture pieces, that we don't have a lot of rules or anything, but we have 2 standards. And then we're also just learning how we're going to, be with each other in the gym and on bus rides, and the good days and bad days and what that's going to look like. And then as far as basketball, trying to keep things, as coaches, your mind just races all the time about what you could do and what would be awesome. But sometimes we got to simmer down and, reel it back in a little bit and try to streamline what we're doing offensively and defensively and get really good at that, and then expand what we're going to do. But we have the pieces. We've already played PV and Bettendorf, 1 possession game with PV right out of the box, had a shot at the buzzer to go into overtime, didn't go in. And then with Bettendorf, played just a really, really, we had bumpy spots in the first couple quarters. Third quarter was a gem. Then we kind of lost footing there a little bit in the fourth quarter, but kept one of the best players, I'm not going to say just in our area, but the state, Midwest, the United States, with Olivia McCorkle. She had like 4 points at the end of 3 quarters. So did a really nice job on her. She ended up getting to where we didn't want her to get, but for the majority of the game, did a really nice job. So we're starting to figure out some stuff, and we're starting to figure out where each person kind of fits and what they can bring that, is a positive, and kind of stay away from some of our things we need to work on maybe next summer. And I think we're going to be kind of a dangerous team that people maybe will overlook a little bit.
Karli, we mentioned before we started the interview that things have changed a little bit when it comes to high school. And so it's a hard question, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there a big difference of one thing? Can you say this is the biggest difference between when I was running the halls and now, or is there little differences, or what's it been like being back in a high school, in North Scott High School, a few years later? I won't put a lot of years, a few years after you.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, there's just a lot, and just in general, a lot of things have changed. But looking back, just the friendships and the closeness and the groups that I had, I would say that was kind of what made our teams very successful over the years, was just that closeness that we had. And like Dad touched on, we have a lot of girls that play a lot of different sports, or they specialize or whatever it is. But we have a lot of girls that aren't necessarily as close on the court this beginning of the season as maybe they will be at the end. And that's kind of our job to help lead them in that direction. But just the friendships and the teammates and that sort of thing. There's a lot of things. But one thing that I look back on is just the friendships that I created and that sort of thing throughout even soccer and basketball. But it's all good. Times have changed, but it is, like I said, our job to continue to push the girls and get them to. We are really talking about the girl across from you. You don't want her to win. You got to compete and that sort of thing. And I hope that my coaches, when they look back on me, that's one thing that they said that I always did, was to compete and be competitive in all that I do. And so that's one thing that hopefully we can instill in the young athletes that we have today.
Before I let you guys go, and I've enjoyed the heck out of this, some fun questions. I always have fun questions with everybody, and I'll keep it kind of family. So obviously the holidays are coming up. Karli, is there a favorite Rucker family tradition around the holidays that you love when it comes to, and you're looking around, I'm afraid of what you're going to say.
I'm like, my mom's over there. Well, lately, I'll say over the past couple of years, my grandma has started, what do we even call it?
Auction.
Like an auction. Oh. So we do like a Christmas auction. And so now that all of us There's 9 of us grandkids for her, and we're all within like 4 to 5 years of each other. So now that we're all old enough to not care so much about all the gifts and that sort of thing, she's a casino goer. And so she goes and she gets like these pretty nice casino gifts. And then we all chip in here and there. And then we get so much Monopoly money. And so everyone has the same amount of money. And then we all bid on these auction items. And it's brought a lot of fun memories. And we're all at the age that no one's upset about anything, but it's been like really fun. And so I don't know what year we're going on, but it's been really fun the past couple of years.
I love it. Grandma sounds cool. I want to hang out with grandma. Like, I feel like I should be hanging out with other Ruckers, not you two. Paul, I always ask people like, what was your favorite gift growing up? But for you, I want to ask, do you remember a gift that you gave one of the girls that you were excited to give them, or excited to see them open, or their reaction was really, really good? I should probably given you guys these ahead of time so you could think a little bit.
Might have gave me that one a little ahead of time.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I'm not gonna lie. My wife is the maestro, and so
I
asked her the other day if she wants. Yeah, I asked her the other day if I should help her wrap gifts, and she said that my skill set for wrapping gifts was not up to her standards, so she would just do it herself. So I don't have one that just sticks out in my mind that was like, I don't.
No,
I mean,
okay.
We've done a really good job over the years, and with 3, you're always like trying to not. It's got to be equal.
Oh, I tell you, it's not even like the
and
price.
That's the hard thing.
Yeah.
The wife is turning around, so here it comes.
I was gonna say they bought us when we were little, and this is like us looking back on pictures, but a big blow up like stage setup.
Okay.
And so it was like we would perform, and so there's like a lot. There's a lot of pictures to look back on. So we must have had a really good time with that.
All right. These are thumbs up, thumbs down questions for both of you guys.
Okay.
Christmas carols, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Sorry.
Well, both of you guys? What's wrong with you?
That's Christmas caroling is not.
I love
not
music too. I love music, but not big on that.
All right. Eggnog, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I'm going to put it in the middle because I don't think, that's not a thing we've ever had.
Now I'm trying to figure out one that I can just get Paul to put his thumb up. Christmas cookies.
Oh, that's
definitely.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, well, last one for you guys. In general, I'll go to both of you guys, and I always ask this to everybody: if you could have dinner with one person in the world, it can be anybody. Paul, I'll start with you. I'm going to go to Karli first because Paul's eyes got all like, oh no, I'll give you some time to think. Karli, you got ladies first. Anybody in the world you can have dinner with, and you can't say your family. Who would it be and why?
Well, forever, my favorite basketball player was Derrick Rose. But if I was to have dinner with anybody, I would maybe say Steph Curry. I really enjoy watching him, and it would be nice to hear a little bit of his thought process and all of that over the years, from where he started to where he is now. And I think that might relate to what you're going to say.
Ooh,
possibly.
Well,
look at that.
Everyone would say, I'd say Michael Jordan.
That's what I was thinking.
I would say Jesus, but like everyone in today's society is going to bring that one up.
Yeah.
I might say Peter Attia. He's a medical doctor, physician that's trying to get people to not look at medicine as it's when you get sick, they're going to try to just cure what you have after you have it. It's trying to live healthy and longer and be able to enjoy your grandkids and your kids longer, be able to run around with them and still get things done. So I would like to sit down with him at dinner sometime and pick his brain.
I like it. I lied. I have one more. I'm sorry. You both seem competitive. Is that fair to say? Thumbs up? Some thumbs up. That's okay to say.
Yeah.
Who would do you guys Do you ever play one-on-one anymore? Horse? Anything like that?
We haven't played lately, but
Did you ever?
No, we did a little
definitely.
bit.
Who? When?
And I tried to not let him win either.
You
So,
tried, but did it happen?
He's pretty. He's still a pretty good shooter.
Ooh, good
Yes.
going.
You'll
Matt.
have to
Yeah.
interview Elena Dreckmeyer, our point guard, because she's a really nice player, and she got me a couple times, and then I stuck her a couple times,
I
and
love
she
it.
doesn't like to hear that. So, but definitely as you get older, the timing starts to slip. Your mind says you can do this,
Yeah.
but sometimes it doesn't always react the same way.
Yeah, I used to do rec basketball, and I'd say to my wife, in my mind, I was going to do this whole thing and a spin, and then like my body said, "What are you doing? You're old,
Yep.
you're fat. Stop
Yep.
doing that." So
It's in there somewhere. It just
Yeah.
doesn't get translated
I
back to
love
your
it.
extremities.
I love it. Hey guys, I have thoroughly enjoyed the heck out of this. Thank you guys for doing it. Best of luck. Good luck tonight. Good luck the rest of the way. Merry Christmas, even if you don't like the Christmas Carol.
Of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on a Tuesday, December 9th. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been a fun show. If you're late, where have you been? Hopefully you're catching up with the show because we've had a good one. We want to thank Nicholas Baer for kicking things off at Cyhawk Week in the state of Iowa when it comes to the women and the men, going head to head on the hardwood this week. Wednesday for the women, Thursday for the men. Nicholas Baer been part of 4 of those men's games, 2 in Iowa City, 2 in Ames. He went 2-2. But he talked to us about this year's team, all those kind of things, and then his experiences of wearing that Iowa jersey and going to the Hilton Coliseum and playing in that game. So go check out the Bear Cage. After that, it's been a crazy week in the world of sports in the state of Iowa, and nobody covers them better than Keith Murphy at WHO TV in Des Moines, and he was nice enough to join us to talk about the Matt Campbell departure, the Jimmy Rogers addition, the Cyhawk Week, all of those kind of things. Great insight from Keith Murphy. Go check that out if you missed it. Scroll back. Take a listen. Also, we want to thank the Ruckers, Paul and Karli Rucker. Paul, co-head coach up at North Scott. Karli, a former state champion at North Scott, also had a great career playing at Northern Iowa. But she's coaching with her dad now on his staff. So a lot of fun. Check out that interview. It's been a fun show. So if you missed any of it, go back and check it out as well. A few other quick things before we get out of here today. When it comes to the schedule this week, we've got a lot of great stuff still to get to. On Wednesday, tomorrow, we'll have Jake Brend talking about the Cyclones and all the craziness that's going on with them. And then the Cyhawk game. We'll also have Kyle Huseman before he hits the road and heads up to Ames to cover the women's game. We'll have him on the show as well, and several other cool things as well. Efforting to get Gavin Stecker on the show as well. Gavin committing to the University of Iowa. Linebacker at Bettendorf. Weird. Linebacker at Bettendorf thinks they're going to do good at Iowa. No, obviously there's a precedent set of some good things. So hopefully we'll catch up with him as well. No Nest guests tomorrow. We're going to have that on Thursday when it comes to the scheduling of the week and stuff. So Nest gets moved to Thursday. Also on Thursday, Rob Brooks will join us after the Iowa and Iowa State women's game to kind of break that down as well. Scott Docterman most likely on Thursday as well. Nest guests on Thursday. A lot to get to this week. It's been a full week, and we're just getting warmed up. On Friday, we're hoping to take the show on the road for a little high school basketball. We'll also recap the Iowa State men's game, look ahead to the weekend, look ahead to the NFL schedule, look ahead to the Bears in a must-win at home against the Browns, all those kind of things. So a lot to get to this week on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. We mentioned Gavin Stecker heading to Iowa. Congratulations to him. That was kind of the news that broke this morning as well. Also, congratulations to the Iowa offensive line. They are, I got to check to make sure I get this correctly, and I just shut down all my stuff. So the beauty of live television, I guess, is what we're doing. Some would call that. The Iowa offensive line, a finalist for the prestigious Joe Moore Award, awarded to the best offensive line in the entire country. And you look at it, it's well worth it. It's been one of the best offensive lines in the Big Ten. I think it's the best offensive line in the Big Ten and arguably the best in the country. So best of luck, and see if they can snag that as well when it comes to another postseason award at the University of Iowa. So I want to thank everybody for watching today's show. It's been fun. Like I mentioned, Jake Bren tomorrow, Kyle Huseman tomorrow, and a lot more as we just get warmed up on a fun time of year. It's December, a lot of crossover sports going on. And of course, also when it comes to days before Christmas, it's getting close. It's 2 weeks from this Thursday. So that means we got a lot to do here in the Randazzo house. So hopefully you guys are getting your Christmas shopping done, getting ready for the holiday as well. And thank you again for watching Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday. We will see you guys back here again tomorrow.